Hello. This video will outline the creation of a deployment image for Product Design Suite Ultimate in 2013. The first step is to create a new folder that will be shared. You want to keep the name of this folder pretty short. I also tend to avoid spaces. This folder should also be a root level share, and I tend to share it with everyone and grant full permission. If you need separate security, you can provide that. You'll need to make sure you can at least write to the folder during installation, but otherwise, depending on the location of the log file for the installation, you could set the files to read only the folder to read only at a later time. So once the folder is created, you want to browse to the setup for the Product Design Suite and launch it. This is not actually installing anything on the computer you're using to create the image, and any products you have installed on that computer won't impact the creation of this deployment. And you want to give the configuration a name. Again, I keep this short with no spaces. You want to avoid lengthy file names, and you want to make sure it's a root level share, because some of the applications within the suite have files associated with them with very long names, several folders deep in the installation structure. So to avoid conflicts with long file name and file paths, you want to keep everything as short as possible from a name standpoint. So you need to locate the folder you created at the beginning. You can either browse through the network, or I tend to just copy the location. That also lets me validate that I've created the folder where I think it should be, and then I can access it. Now, you see only 64-bit as a choice there because I'm creating the image from only 64-bit downloaded files. If you have the USB key, the physical media, you can choose 32 or 64-bit. You can also choose to include only the products you specify as part of this deployment creation, or all of the files. Unchecking this box lets you include all of the files. This can take a very long time, upwards of 3 hours or more, to copy all of the files. So just be aware of that. You can always install independent applications from the suite from the media on a specific computer if you don't want to include everything in the image. Now, some other settings you have: run in installations in silent mode. I tend to turn that off, at least for the first installation, so that I can verify that everything's installing properly. You also have the option to create a network log file, and you can specify that location. That is a good idea. And also creating a log on the client side. So you need to accept the EULA. Choose the product language, of course. You can install either network or standalone from a deployment like this. If you have multiple serial numbers for standalone, just pick one of them, put that information in, and then during installation on the client machines, you could pick a different serial number. Now, once you've provided that serial number in the product key for Product Design Suite Ultimate, that's 781E1. You can find the product keys for all of the 2013 products at Autodesk.com. Once that's provided, the installer will check your installation requirements. This can take quite a long time. So don't be concerned if it takes upwards of a few minutes or more. Okay, so once that's finished, you can choose what products actually should get installed. Now notice for the Product Design Suite Ultimate, there's a very long list. Again, I choose not to install every product, maybe only Inventor and Mechanical. That's what most people use. If there are other aspects of it that you like to install, you can include those, of course. But again, for users that may only a few people use Alias, or only a few people use Mudbox or Navisworks, you can install those independently later. Notice there are some shared components as well. These components might be required for use by other parts of the suite, So for example, if I choose to not install Inventor Fusion, other parts of the suite would not be valid, like basically the Fusion plugins for AutoCAD and Inventor. So you have the opportunity to either uncheck those automatically so they don't get included, or you can cancel and instead include Fusion in the installer. The content libraries for Inventor, this lets you choose what libraries should be included. Some of these libraries are pretty large, so they could take up a lot of space on the client machine. Be aware of that. Some of them are a gig or more in size. To configure any of the individual products, you can click the button right below its name, and you'll have various choices. So for Inventor, things like ribbon customizations, whether you use desktop content or the Vault server for your content, if you want to include additional files like add-ins that you might want to deploy. You can try to have it check for service packs. The Inventor installers frequently don't do a good job of this. So you'll always want to check Autodesk.com for the latest updates when you're creating an installation. Notice you can also set the installation path. This is the location on the client machine where the products will end up. This is not the location of the image, so you can change that. That's also an option you would have later on during the installation. If you do not install in silent mode, you can redirect the location. So once you've selected the products you'd like to install, hit create, and it will copy all of the files over. Now again, this can take some time. If you pick all parts of the suite, again, this can take upwards of a few hours, and there will be 70 or more components that have to be copied. Now eventually, once it's created, you'll get a success message. It will confirm where the location is for the shortcut that clients can use for installation. Also a link for the modification. So you can modify this deployment after it's been created to change details like where the log file might go, or to exclude other products. Now in the location where we told the image to be created, notice there's a shortcut. There's an admin image folder. This actually contains the files for the installation and some other folders that you don't really need to worry about. It is, I believe, technically possible to move a deployment, but several of the files that are created during the deployment creation include the path to this shortcut. So usually, even though it takes a while to copy all of the files, it's usually just as fast and easy especially to recreate a deployment instead of trying to move it. Now a user, to install the product, would just double click on this shortcut, and the installer behaves just as if you had installed or installing from local media. You would accept the license agreement, you would specify your serial number and product key, confirm what products are to be installed. Again, you could choose a different installation path if you would like, and you would press install.